The night was heavy with silence and the sound of his own heartbeat as William stood in the shadow of a grand hall. In that moment, his mind raced with images of a life he once took pride in, a life of wealth, desire, and reckless decisions. The unsettling truth that he had built his days on illusions now hit him with full force. He had spent so many years lost in the glamour of Vanessa, his dazzling mistress, that he never stopped to see what was crumbling behind him. And now, in one shocking moment, the past collided with his present. His estranged wife, Mary, appeared among the glittering crowd. She was more than a ghost from his past. She was a radiant force of nature, commanding every eye in the room. William's heart pounded as he watched Mary laugh softly with influential guests, her confident smile lighting up the room. The sight left him trembling with feelings of jealousy, regret, and loss. In that heart-stopping second, the foundations of his carefully constructed life began to shake. He felt the weight of his mistakes, and the simple truth that what he had thought was true happiness was nothing more than a shadow of what real love could be. For many years, William had believed that life was about chasing glamour and fleeting pleasures. Vanessa had been the embodiment of that wild spirit, her every gesture and glance promising a life of excitement and indulgence. He had basked in the glow of her beauty, praising her in the eyes of everyone who would listen. Yet, the splendor of those moments was built on unstable ground. Beneath the glitter, William's heart had grown cold and distant, numb to the genuine emotions that once defined him. On the other hand, Mary, the woman he had left behind, had always been his safe harbor. Though their marriage had faded into a quiet memory over the years, Mary had once been the person who had known him better than anyone else. In her gentle, steady way, she had shown him what love could be when it was shared with trust, care, and respect. Even though they had separated, there was always a part of Mary that lingered in his heart, a part he tried hard to forget in favor of the flashy distractions that Vanessa offered. That fateful night, as the crowd's chatter ebbed and flowed like the tide, William was forced to face the person he had neglected for so long. Mary moved through the room with an ease that spoke of inner strength. She was calm, yet her eyes shone with a quiet determination that hinted at all the growth she had experienced in his absence. It was as if the years had given her a wisdom that made her even more beautiful and formidable than before. No longer was she the timid wife he remembered. She had become a woman who knew her own worth and did not need anyone's validation, not even his. For the first time in years, William felt a deep and piercing regret. He realized that while he had been chasing the thrill of a glamorous affair, he had allowed his true connection to wither away. His heart ached as memories of shared laughter, long conversations, and simple joys flashed before his eyes. The stark contrast between the hollow charm of Vanessa's world and the rich, deep love he once knew with Mary shook him to his core. As the night wore on, William tried to shrink away into the background, but fate had other plans. A mutual friend gently pulled him aside and introduced him to Mary, who had noticed him from across the room. Their eyes met, and in that brief exchange, years of unresolved feelings and unsaid words seemed to pass between them. Mary's smile was kind but distant, a reminder of the pain of abandonment, yet also an invitation to understand and forgive. They found a quiet corner away from the constant hum of the party. For the next hour, they talked, first about trivial matters, then about the deep wounds of the past. Mary explained that she had not come to the party just as a guest, but to reclaim her own life. She had learned that real happiness was found in genuine connections, not in the empty glimmer of superficial praise. William listened, each word striking him like a soft but steady knock on his soul. Mary spoke simply, her words clear and heartfelt. I learned that life does not have to be a stage for others to admire. It can be a quiet journey of self-respect and love, she said. Her voice carried no bitterness, only a gentle strength that resonated with William. He began to see the beauty in her honesty and the power in her transformation. He realized that the woman he had once known as Mary had grown into someone completely new, a person who had learned from her pain and emerged stronger, a true example of resilience. The conversation took an unexpected turn when Mary asked about Vanessa. William hesitated before admitting that he had built a fantasy around her, a fantasy of glamour and excitement that had blinded him to the reality of what truly mattered. He confessed his regret for having ignored the steady warmth of Mary's love, acknowledging that in chasing the shimmer of the superficial, he had lost the genuine light of his past. In that quiet, unguarded moment, William felt a spark of hope. It was as if Mary's words had peeled away the layers of his pride and arrogance, revealing the broken parts of his heart. He began to understand that his true mistake was not in leaving Mary, but in never really seeing her for who she had become. Mary was not the same woman he had once known. She had evolved into someone capable of inspiring him to be better. And as he listened to her, he too started to see a path forward, a way to rebuild himself and embrace a life filled with genuine love and respect. Days turned into weeks after that night, and William could not shake the memory of Mary's calm and confident presence. He found himself rethinking the life he had chosen, questioning every decision that had led him down the path of emptiness. He sought out moments of solitude, spending long hours in quiet reflection. In the silence of his room, he replayed the conversation, each word nudging him closer to a realization. He needed to change. It was not easy. The journey of self-discovery often comes with a bitter taste of regret and the slow acceptance of past mistakes. But William was determined to learn from them. He began to take small steps toward a more honest life. He reached out to old friends and mended broken relationships, seeking to rebuild bridges he had long burned. Slowly, he let go of the glamour that had once defined him and embraced the simpler, truer version of himself that lay beneath. As the days passed, William started to notice subtle changes in his life. The frantic, endless nights of indulgence were replaced by evenings spent reading, listening to soft music, and watching the sunset. He discovered the joy of small things, like a shared laugh over a simple meal or a quiet walk in the park. These moments, though not as dazzling as the world he had once known, filled him with a warm, steady light that no longer felt fleeting. One sunny afternoon, William decided to visit a small cafe in the heart of the city, a place that had once been his refuge when life seemed too heavy. As he sat by the window, sipping a cup of coffee, he noticed a familiar face across the room. Mary was there, her eyes meeting his with a mixture of surprise and cautious hope. Time had softened the edges of their past, leaving behind a tender understanding of each other's journeys. They started meeting more often, sometimes at that same cafe, sometimes during long walks in the park. In these moments, they talked about their dreams, their mistakes, and their hopes for the future. Mary shared stories of her own path to self-discovery, and William listened with genuine interest. He learned that the strength she had found within herself was not a shield to keep him out, but a beacon guiding him back to a life of honesty and meaning. The more time they spent together, the more William realized that love could be both gentle and transformative. Mary's growth had inspired him to work on himself, to become a man who valued deep connections over shallow appearances. It was a slow process, filled with moments of doubt and introspection, but every step he took brought him closer to a version of himself he had long forgotten, a man capable of true compassion and genuine care. One evening, as they walked along a quiet street lit by soft street lamps, Mary turned to William with a smile that was both forgiving and hopeful. "I have missed you," she said softly, her voice filled with a warmth that melted the remaining barriers between them. "I have missed who we were and who we can still be." In that moment, William knew that he had found his way back to something precious, a chance at redemption, and a hope for a better future. The love he had once taken for granted now shone like a guiding light, leading him out of the darkness of his past mistakes. He realized that the real beauty of life was not in the fleeting admiration of a glamorous world, but in the quiet, steadfast love that endured even through the harshest storms. As the months turned into a new season of their lives, William and Mary worked together to build a future grounded in trust, respect, and understanding. They attended counseling sessions, talked openly about their fears, and slowly stitched together the pieces of a relationship that had once been shattered. William made a promise to himself and to Mary. He would never again let vanity or superficial pleasures blind him to the true value of love. One particularly memorable day, the couple planned a small celebration, a gathering of close friends and family at a modest venue, filled with laughter, music, and heartfelt conversations. The event was not grand in the sense of wealth or extravagance, but it was rich with meaning. Every smile, every shared story, was a testament to the power of change and the strength of the human spirit. During the celebration, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the sky turned a gentle shade of pink, William took a deep breath and addressed the crowd. He spoke of mistakes made and lessons learned, of the pain of regret and the joy of redemption. His words were simple and honest, and they touched the hearts of everyone present. In that moment, William felt a sense of peace he had never known before, a peace born from the acceptance of his past and the hopeful promise of a better tomorrow. The turning point for William came when he finally understood that true love was not about possession or pride. It was about sharing life's journey with someone who could see the beauty in our scars and the strength in our vulnerability. Mary had shown him that even when paths diverge and hearts break, there is always a chance to rebuild and find happiness again. The suspense in William's heart, the fear that he had lost everything that truly mattered, began to fade away. It was replaced by a quiet confidence that came from knowing that the love they now shared was built on the firm ground of truth and mutual respect. And though the road ahead was still uncertain, William was ready to face it, hand in hand with Mary, with a heart open to the simple joys of life. In the end, the journey that had started with unsettling shock and deep regret turned into a hopeful new beginning. William learned that sometimes the hardest battles we face are the ones within our own hearts. By accepting his mistakes and embracing the possibility of change, he found a way back to the love he had once taken for granted. The story of William, Vanessa, and Mary is a reminder that life is full of unexpected turns. It shows us that even when we lose our way, there is always a chance to find a new path, one that leads to healing, growth, and genuine happiness. In the soft glow of a quiet evening, as William and Mary walked side by side, they both knew that the painful lessons of the past had given way to a future filled with hope and promise. Their journey was not without challenges. There were days when the echoes of old regrets would surface, and moments when the scars of broken trust would ache painfully. But every challenge they faced together only strengthened their bond. They learned to laugh again, to trust again, and most importantly, to love again. Each day was a step toward building a life that was not about glitter or shallow admiration, but about warmth, honesty, and the simple, enduring power of love. In a small, quiet house not far from where it all began, William and Mary started a new chapter. Their home was filled with little tokens of their journey: a photo of their first quiet walk in the park, letters written in moments of deep reflection, and mementos of celebrations that reminded them of the strength of their commitment. This home, built not on pretension, but on real, honest care, became a sanctuary where both of them could grow and heal. As the years passed, the memory of the grand hall and that unsettling night faded into a distant recollection. What remained was the steady rhythm of life, a rhythm that celebrated both the highs and the lows, the mistakes and the triumphs. William's heart, once weighed down by the glitter of false promises, now beat with the gentle cadence of a life well lived, a life enriched by the beauty of genuine connection. At last, William understood that his journey was not defined by the past, but by the lessons he had learned along the way. The painful encounter with Mary had been the wake-up call he needed, a call to return to the core of who he was and to appreciate the simple, honest love that had always been there. And in this return, he found redemption, forgiveness, and above all, happiness. Their love story, full of twists and turns, taught them that life could always be rewritten. With every step they took together, they built a future that was far more precious than any fleeting moment of glamour or admiration. It was a future where true connection reigned, where the heart's quiet wisdom triumphed over the loud distractions of a superficial world. In the end, William's story became a beacon for anyone who had ever lost their way in the pursuit of empty pleasures. It showed that even in the darkest moments, there is always the possibility of change, a chance to rebuild and find happiness in the most unexpected places. And as the sun rose each day on a life transformed, William and Mary walked hand in hand, grateful for the journey that had led them to this peaceful, fulfilling place. Their story had a happy ending, a reminder that love, when nurtured with care and honesty, can overcome even the deepest regrets. It was a story of redemption, growth, and the quiet, enduring strength of a heart that learns to love again.